Where should you put your artwork? This is a big question. In fact, it's probably up there in the top three with pricing. Is I don't know where to put my artwork. Where should I put my artwork? So I want to talk about this today and share some things that I've learned over the years. It's the last session. We are wrapping up today the Make Art Your Living workshops. This is the last webinar that I'll be holding. And then we've got one last live session later at 6 p.m. UK time, which is just I just say just, it's not just, it is a wrap up party. It's where we will get together and just come as a group to celebrate how far you've come, share those wins, recap on the event, and then part ways for some, and then for others there's the Post-it note board. Oh my gosh, I've had to write down. I don't think we've ever had so many people from different countries before. It's really interesting how we've had people join from lots of different places that we've never had. So we've got obviously UK, UK, Ireland, USA, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Canada, Hungary, Switzerland, Malaysia, Portugal, Slovakia, Iceland, Greece, Croatia, Italy, Spain, and France. Oh! So it's going to be amazing for us all to connect with each other during the course and over the 8 weeks and beyond, and really learn from each other. And I love this experience because we're going to be all together from around the world in this moment in time going through this program, and it will be a really special experience. You'll get to know people that you would never ever have come into contact with if it wasn't for this experience. I find that mind-blowing. It's crazy. Sue, I see you here. Yes, from Malaysia. You're the very first person. So you are on the map in the right location. Sometimes it looks like we've got people from there, but we haven't because I've had to spread everyone out. But you are actually the first person from that area. So exciting. So so let's get stuck in. So oh, nice. So Mary Lynn is tuning in. You say you're from Ibiza, but you're in Mallorca. What a beautiful place. Oh, I've spent a lot of time in Mallorca and Ibiza actually. And I was about to host a retreat in Mallorca and then COVID hit. So anyway, right, let's get stuck in. So I'm going to talk about where to put your work because this is one where people can get really stuck and it's one that people jump to. And I remember polling people a while ago asking what the biggest problems were, and where to put my work is usually one of the biggest issues. And so as you've learned through this whole process, that before you get to where you put your work, you've got all these things to figure out first. So the great news is when we're doing the course, we'll go through this in more detail, and then we're really going to start to pinpoint where your people are, because where you put your work really depends on who your people are. For a few reasons. One, because where you put your work matters. It's the context. It was what I was describing back in the workshops, that where you put your work matters because it's the difference between your work having a voice and not having a voice. So there was a message sent to me today, actually. Let me just read this out because this is a great example. So Kirsty messaged yesterday and said, I have been rejected by every single gallery in the UK, even though I sell globally and I'm an established artist. And this goes back to what I was saying yesterday about those places are probably just the wrong place. They don't have your people. Yet Kirsty has found her place herself. And so the place matters. And so the more that you learn about who your people are, the more chance you're going to have of finding where they are. So when we think about the place, this is important, not only just about where we sell, which is important, but where we put ourselves, because what we're doing here is attracting people, and we need to know where they are to attract them. Because we can put our work, let's say we put our work on Etsy, and a lot of people say to me, is Etsy a good platform? Is Artshaw a good platform? Is this a good platform? The truth is, they're all good platforms. They can be good platforms if they have your people, but then also you still have to stand out to your people and connect with your people. So there's a few things happening when we think about where to put the work. First, are my people there? And when you're looking at places like Etsy and places on social media, for example, you've got to really ask yourself, are your people there? Are you going to get in front of your people at this place? If you're asked to put your work into a local art market or a local gallery, are your people there? And sometimes you don't know the answer. You don't know who your people are just yet, which is where sometimes it takes a little bit more work because it's a bit of trial and error and you've got to go through the 7 keys. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with trying a place and seeing whether it works. But the more you go through this framework, the more you're going to learn about who your people are, the more you'll start to realize my people aren't in that place. It's not a good fit for me. I'm not going to do it. And this is where it gets really exciting. And so that's what you have to ask yourself. And then the other challenge then is on social media, for example. Yes, your people are probably highly likely to be on Facebook, highly likely to be on Instagram, because there are billions of people using these platforms. So nearly every type of customer is using social media, which is why they're so popular. There are lots of people using Etsy, but the next part then is, okay, my people are there, but when you're going to a space where it's highly populated or there's nobody there. So let's take some examples now. So Instagram, highly populated. There are billions of people using it, which is fab because your people are going to be there. It's popular, it's active, but we've got to stand out. The same can be said for a big art fair. If you're at a big art fair and your people are there, it's probably going to be, maybe close. I don't know. It's some art fairs that can be close to 1,000 artists at these places. We need to stand out. So we need to get where our people are, and we also need to connect with them and stand out from the crowd. And this is where this comes in, because you stand out from the crowd through your why, through your messaging, through understanding the purpose, through creating desire for your work, through sharing your stories. So you can go onto Etsy, for example, but you still need to do the work of the 7 keys. It's very rare that you'll find a platform where you can just put your artwork, people are there, people are going to buy. It's rare to be able to do that. So even if you're using social media platforms to sell, or you're using galleries to sell online, for example, you still have to drive people to those platforms. They're usually not enough to make a living from, especially Etsy. So you have to do a lot of work on social media through the 7 keys, driving people to your Etsy store. And that's why a lot of people in the end come away from Etsy, because the amount of work that you have to put in to drive people to your Etsy store it becomes in the end that people think, well, if I'm doing all this work to drive people to the Etsy store, why don't I just drive them to my own website where I get all the sales and I get all the, they're not getting distracted by other people selling on Etsy. And so what I find people do in the long run is they maybe keep the Etsy store just in case they get the odd sale here and there, but drive people to their website. And so these are the questions to start asking when you're thinking about where to put your work. It's where are your people? Who are your people? And how are you going to connect with them and stand out from the crowd? And that's through the 7 keys, absolutely. And the other thing I think is to really, at the beginning, and if you don't know the 7 keys, it will be a case of trial and error and testing things out and being open to the fact that you might put your work in a place and it's the wrong place, and that's okay. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to learn and go, that wasn't the right place. As painful as the experience can be and disheartening as the experience can be, it's accepting that this will happen. It happens to everyone in every type of business. In fact, when you start out, you'll make mistakes. And what tends to happen, there was a great quote from someone the other day that's saying, from every obstacle, there's a lesson. I don't think that was the quote, but that was the moral of the story. And I remember, and I've spoken to people who've put things into places, and I remember Sharon, my friend Sharon, I remember Sharon years ago, this was about 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I would say, maybe 7. And I remember Sharon being in the art fairs and trying this place. And she said to me, I'm having an exhibition next week here. And she was paying for these exhibitions, paying for the travel. And I'd hook up with her afterwards and I say, how did it go? And she'd go, oh, I didn't sell one piece. And then she'd have another one. How did it go? Nothing, no sales. And I remember that time, and I remember how disheartening it was for her. And I'm trying to be all optimistic and okay, well, keep going. But it was interesting because I remember after a period of time of about 6 months, a year, of Sharon really, putting her work out there and not getting any sales. And I remember her saying to me, though, despite that actually she looked back and realized that even though she didn't get the sales in that moment, she looked back and realized that she'd made really valuable lessons, met amazing artists as well, and learned about where she wanted her work and where she didn't want her work. She learned how to speak about the work. She met really interesting people and got advice going, I think you maybe need to change the layout of your display. And she just said, I realized that actually I was learning so much during that period, but I was getting so hung up on selling and making money and getting the return back on what I'd spent. And this is what I want to teach you inside the course. We're going to be looking at what I call return on investment and really looking at places and opportunities and weighing up the potential to learn, because it's not always financial. And the interesting thing off the back of that then was Sharon then did learn about her who going through that process. And the other thing as well, when we do put our work into these places and we don't get the sale instantly, is that we are in this for the long game, and people's buying habits are not always impulsive and will buy straight away as soon as they see something. People who buy in an instant are in a minority. So quite often people will put their work into certain places and expect sales instantly. But sometimes, and quite often, those sales will come afterwards. They'll come 6 months later. even a year later, that you'll find someone come across you and say, I found you, I saw you in exhibition and I've been following you ever since. And now I want to buy this artwork. I've heard this story so many times. So what we're doing is we're growing. When I say we're carving out your place in the art world, it's every interaction is adding to something, every conversation that you have. And it's important when you put yourself on social media to show up, because if you gain followers because you've exhibited, you didn't maybe make the sales, but people have started to follow you and you've planted that seed and they start to follow you, that's your chance then to build that rapport. So where you put yourself is really important, to not only to just sell, but also to build relationships, to build that rapport with people, because only a small majority of people will buy in an instant. When they look at the work and they go, yeah, absolutely, I want to buy this. The majority of buyers are contemplators. People see something and they want to go away and they want to think about it. They want to go and speak to their partner. They want to go home and look at the space and think, would it actually go there? That's the majority of people. So where you're putting yourself to build those relationships and to continue that trust, and if I'm going to buy an artwork, it's very unusual that I will buy an artwork immediately. Hardly ever, actually. 100% I will go and follow someone and I'll follow them for a while, and then I'll go and check out their website and I'll go and read their about page, and then I go back and it's very rare that I would buy an artwork in an instant. And also your price point matters as well, because the higher your artwork is priced, the more of a consideration that artwork is. It's more of an investment. Again, highly unlikely that people will just buy in an instant if it's $1,000. So I know there's a tendency sometimes to just get your artwork out in a million places at the beginning. But actually what we teach in the 7 keys is to get really clear on these keys, your why, what it is that you're actually doing, what is the purpose of your work, who is going to be likely now to connect and use your artwork. And now we're going to get really picky with 1 to 3 places that we can really focus on and really hone in on those areas. Because what can tend to happen is you try a place, it doesn't work, and try another one, and then before you know it, you're all over the place. And so we want to get really clear and choose a place and really learn everything about it and make it work. And build that momentum to keep going. Because like a website as well, having a website, it's not enough to just make a website and put it out there and then close your eyes and keep squinting and wait for sales, which is what I've done before. We have to keep bringing people back to the website and talking about it. And it can feel like hard work, which is why if you go through the 7 keys and you're doing this passionately, it won't feel like hard work. Of course, it's going to take time. But this should feel enjoyable, and that's what we want to get you through in the course, is making you feel confident and excited about your work and actually excited about getting this out into the world. And so it's best to just have just a few places, especially on social media. It's best to have one place that you drive people to, and put all your focus into that one social media platform. There's a tendency to be on here and here and here and here and here. And that is insane hard work. It's okay to have profiles on all different social media platforms, but base yourself in one place until you've mastered that one place, and then go on to another one and put your efforts there. But you are so much better to build momentum in one place, especially on social media, and get that momentum going and then expand from that. And so let me just check the chat. because there's lots of questions as well about, there's different places like you can go through licensing, and there's so many options, aren't there, when it comes to where to put your work. And so working backwards through this is what's going to help you get that clarity on the best places to put based on where your people are. Let me check the chat, and if you've got questions on this, let me know. Oh no, where has the time gone, Lottie? Oh, Laura, we have new people from Croatia joining. Your Croatian group is going to be expanding. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. What an international bunch. I know, it's exciting. Claire's on time. Yay. Claire, I saw that you're on the board too. It's exciting. Yeah, if you've got any questions about where to put your work, let me know in the chat now, because I'll answer any questions. Claire, we'll get to know some wonderful characters here, not necessarily talking about David. Amanda's tuning in from France. Brilliant. Yeah, and it's getting that sweet spot of the place. And let me bring this back to, I've just seen someone comment about, Anne said, finding that right place, and about this is where as well, thinking about the place and thinking about the buying habits as well of people. So in a gallery, when I was sharing the example of Sharon selling 80% of her artwork during a period of time, that is such an amazing amount of sales in a short period. But what's been happening in this space, in this where, is the gallery has been developing relationships with its customers for a long time. So the gallery that Sharon sells in, the gallery have a book, of clients, and they have repeated customers coming back, buying artwork. They do a lot of work, the gallery, to build the rapport with their who. So they're doing a lot of that work. They're doing all the work to stand out from the crowd and to, my voice is going, I'm doing so many live sessions. To stand out from the crowd, to build that rapport. They're showing up on social media, they're understanding the why, and they're sharing that story. And that's why somewhere like a gallery where Sharon is showing, they have a high amount of sales in a short period of time, because they know their 7 keys and they're doing all of this. And so, yeah, when then you think about a different kind of place, where you haven't got that intensity, it's highly unlikely that there'll be impulsive buyers, and the impulsive buyers are the people that are just buying on the spot. But if you get that sweet spot where you've got people who want to buy, you've hit the sweet spot of everything that ticks the box, and you've got the work and it's in the right place, oh gosh, that is where you get that amazing synergy and spark. And that's what we're aiming for through this process, is getting all those pieces in the right place, so that you're not spending time trialing and erroring, because that takes time and money. So the faster you learn this, the more you'll refine this, so that you can save yourself time and money. Let me see. And so going back to that piece around, is this the right place for me? There is no right place. Like an Etsy could work for one artist, Instagram can work for another, and it's about you finding your own artwork, your people, and your place, because it's different for everyone. There are some people who fly on Etsy. There are some people who just sell themselves. There are some people who only use galleries. There is no one path an artist can take, which is why it gets really confusing. Amy, hello. Yeah, it's difficult. I think everyone here could probably hold their hands up and say that, yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's taken me years. And so it's a process that we just keep chipping away at. And so one thing I will say as well around this struggle is, It's okay to say that I'm struggling if you're asking for help, but be careful not to keep repeatedly saying, this is not just for you, Amy, this is for everyone now. Be careful not to keep repeatedly saying, I'm struggling to find my people, I'm struggling to find my why, I'm struggling, because you will struggle more. It will feel difficult. And I share this from my own experience of going through this process and also writing a book recently where I found myself repeatedly saying, I'm really struggling writing this book. I'm really struggling. And the more I kept saying it, the more difficult it became, the more hard and uncomfortable the whole experience felt. And then I got to a point where I thought, I'm not going to say that I'm struggling anymore. I'm just going to stop. And I stopped. As simple as that. And then I just stopped saying that I was struggling and I just carved out time and I just got on with it. And I only said I was struggling if I was reaching out for help. And I said, I'm struggling with this bit. Can you help me, please? And it was such a big shift. So it's accepting. It's like and I share this with the mountain that I'm climbing next week. It's going to be tough and it's going to be really hard. And I've made a pact with myself not to say that I'm struggling and it's hard, because it is. I'm just accepting that. And it's like this process is difficult. And I think you just accept that and just keep working through it and know that if you break it down into tiny steps, like I've taught you, if you take one artwork and you figure out who is the next person or the next conversation I can have, what is the next opportunity that I can look for, and know that if the answer isn't there today, you'll find it if you keep going. You might need to just ask yourself a different question. Renelle is a great example of this. She did power hours for a long time, and it's only after, I think it was like after a few months of doing it, that now she has an amazing opportunity that has transformed her whole art career. But it didn't come from just doing a power hour and she just did it and then the opportunity came. It came from her doing the work and not giving up. And she kept looking and using different keywords and persevering and having another conversation and putting another conversation here. And then boom, it happened for her. Didn't happen overnight. She kept going. So yeah, you like, for everyone here, it can take time, which is why you've got to get really behind what you're doing. And the why is so important, because that's what will keep you going, and understanding why it's important. So I would just aim to find your next person rather than people. Who is the next person that you can connect with that understands yourself or your art, or who inspires you and can be in your top 5? Break it down into small tiny steps. So let me see. There's a message here from Claire. So if you direct people to your website through social media, but have the selling aspect linked from your website to Etsy, would that look professional, or is it better to sell direct from the website? I must admit, I don't know about the selling bits onto my website, hence directing them to Etsy. I think it's okay to direct them to Etsy if that's what you know right now. I've been on websites before and I've been pointed to Etsy, and it's okay. There's downsides and upsides. So my mantra is done is better than perfect. So if you've got a site and the way to sell is to push people through to Etsy, then do that. You've got something going. You've got a place where people can actually buy from you, which is brilliant. You know, in the future, when you grow and you work through this process, you might end up wanting to put it on your own website. But right now, if you don't have the bandwidth, you've done it. You can buy from you, and that's brilliant. The downsides are you're pushing people away from your website, which then takes them away. It takes them to a different platform, and then they can get distracted and they might see something else. So as much as possible, yeah, it'd be great if we could keep people on our own website whilst we've got them there, because when you get them there, you want to keep them. And what you want to do as well on a website is try and capture them in some way to retain them. So that's why I always say drive people to your social media to follow you if they land on your website, because people who land on your website typically aren't going to land on it again for a while. You know, we can all say here, how many websites have you been to where you look and you think, oh, this is great, I must come back? Never do. until someone prompts me or sends me there again. So that's where social media can be great. And people ask me a lot around, should I be on social media and should I have a website? What's the difference? And the difference really is that your website is kind of your home. It's your base. And that's where you can really go into a lot of detail about this, your why. On a website, the most looked at page is an about page. And the reason is people are looking for connection. They want to know more about you. It's the biggest looked at page, an about page on a website. So your website is your base. It's where people, if they're going to buy an artwork, they'll come and they'll read about you and they'll look. And it's where I can get all the information about how I buy from you. What's the process? What other work have you got? That's where I'm going to look at you and get a sense of you and your art. Then your social media is social. It's much more time-based. Your posts, there's only so far that people will look back. They're not going to look back at all of your posts. And as we know with Instagram, it's hard to get a sense of who you are just through your bio. We can get a sense through social media posts, but it's just not the same as a website. You cannot get the message across the same as you can on social media. The great thing with social media is that that's where you can build rapport. That's where you can build trust. That's where you can get people to engage and you can inspire people and show them inside your world. And social media is not just for selling. It is for sharing and for socializing and talking. And that's where a lot of people are mistaken, I think, when they think people are going to follow you, and they're not just there to buy from you. They're there to learn from you and be inspired by you and understand you and think, do I want to buy from this person? So that's the great way to use social media, is to let them inside your world, share about yourself. And so, sorry, that was a complete tangent, Claire. I've just realized I'm answering your question still. So to recap on that big long answer, I think it's okay to direct people off to Etsy if that's where you are. Yeah. Rachel says, my people use Instagram more than Facebook, so I just let Insta feed into Facebook and just keep an eye on it. Yeah, you can do that because you're not wasting your own time then on Facebook. And Rebecca says, yeah, Etsy has such huge fees now. And there are just so many people on there. Yeah. I think, like I said, it's great if you don't have the means to set up your website to sell and you're just getting started. Etsy can be a great confidence boost to see your art on a platform where it can be bought and it's exciting. So I think it has a place. But I know for a fact that once you start selling, you'll want it on your own website because to sell and make a living, you've got to drive people there. You've got to sell. You've got to do the 7 keys to stand out on Etsy. Absolutely. Karen says, yes, my jewelry sells on Etsy, but I do notice more sales on this platform when I post on social media. Yeah. Do you mean that you get more sales on Etsy when you post on social media, Karen? And that's probably because then it's that thing you're reminding people you're in the forefront of their mind. Where you are is so important, and showing up is so important. Absolutely. Let me see. My work is a bit more specific. Information boards. I like this. So the information board. So Kat's work is, it's all about mountains, and you're influenced by the nature and mountains, aren't you? And I like that you're thinking about the information boards and yeah. So when you go to hike somewhere, there's an information board and there's cafes. Those types of places would be incredible for your work because you've got people there who are connected to the place they're walking. So, if there's cafes and tourist information centers and places like that, I'd be going to them and talking to them about your art as well. Calling into an information center like that and having a conversation with people who work there is such a great idea, because and tell them about yourself and share your story and your love for the hills or the mountains, and because they might not put your work in there, but just going in and talking to them and leaving some cards, that will come into conversation when that person next speak to someone that walks in and they go, you had this amazing artist come in last week talking about how they paint the mountains. Here's one of their cards, actually. It's things like that it's like a domino effect. Or as Maria Brophy would describe when she came in once, it's like the snowball effect. So you start as this tiny, tiny little ball, and you meet one person who goes, "Oh, I really like your work." And that's your first connection. "Oh, you like it?" It's like, "Woohoo." And then they go and tell someone, and then you meet someone else. So all of a sudden your ball is growing. And then what happens when you start to work through the keys and you start to figure out your people and how to speak and the desire and the purpose and all these things that I've been teaching you, the snowball grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you get momentum on your side. So then it's like pushing the ball down the hill, and it grows and grows and grows. And going back to the fees, that's what a lot of people ask themselves in the end. Like, if I am having to create social media profile posts and keep talking about the work and driving people back to Etsy, if you're the one doing that work, you're better off driving them to your website, and then having Etsy there if you get a few sales off their footfall. Rachel says, I had an Etsy shop once, found it way too time consuming, having to join teams, play games to get each other on the front page. I'd rather just put that energy and time into Insta. Absolutely. That's where it all comes down to. Driving people to my website, either sign up for an exclusive deal or on my online shop. Excuse me. Here's another way that you can do it as well. I just need to go and swap drinks. I've got lots of drinks on the go. I've just got completely distracted. So I was going to say there was another way to do this. Let me just read that last comment so I can recap. Yeah. So basically, here's the other way to do it. So if you're just starting out, remember as well that you don't necessarily need an online cart. So people often overlook the fact that you can get started really simply with a one-page website. That's how I started years ago. When I look back at my website now, gosh, it was kind of pretty bad actually, but it did the job. Everyone used to comment on it and say, like, I had nice cards done. And the website was just literally just a one-page website, just with some scrolling images. And I just paid for a DIY one where I paid £6 a month, which was a lot of money for me. And I just had my name, my tagline, images, and it was enough to have a base. My voice is literally going. A base to drive people to. And then what you can also do then is just have one social media platform. So you can keep this so simple. Have one social media platform, one website, a one-page website, and then use your social media to grow your audience. And you don't even actually necessarily need a shop to sell, because David Judd, the one in the comments who talks about the naughty corner, let me just go and grab this. David said to me recently, David created this artwork. This is the naughty corner, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Look at that. That is the naughty corner. So if you're late to one of my live sessions, that's where you go. It's amazing. And he's put the 7 keys up here. We always have, when we do our live sessions in our community, we always have a lot of fun. And so there's lots of references here to things that have happened in the live sessions over the years. Once my son walked through the door and he'd spilt cornflakes. box of cornflakes there, the hummus, the donkey, honestly. And did you know, anyone who has this print, did you know there are keys hidden that you have to look for? I didn't know that. I just started to notice the 7 keys hidden in this artwork. It's amazing. But David found me. David's been following United Art Space now since we launched years ago. And David's always followed and just said, I'll never sell. I'm not here to sell, but I just like being part of this community. And I love making artwork, but I'm never going to sell. Never going to sell. And he joined he's joined my courses and the Hub platform. Never going to sell though. I'm just here to take part. And then created this piece. And it resonates with us in our community and our members. And we all looked at him and we're like, I want to buy this. And David's like, oh. And I said, David, all you need is a PayPal Me link. You just need a link for people to pay you. That's it. You don't need a shop front. You don't need just to go on a shop and go click here and add it to your cart. You don't need anything like that. And so there's a lot of people I know that start out that way, that just simply just sell direct through their Instagram. And people ask me, but how do you sell for your Instagram? Well, you just put a post out. You put that it's for sale. Somebody messages you. They say that they want it. You send them a link. And you can do this really quickly in PayPal. You can set up a PayPal account, a business one, to keep it separate from your personal. And you just grab a link from the PayPal Me link site, send it to them. They pay you. They're covered. There's no risk. If anything goes wrong, they can get that money back. And it's safe and easy for everyone. So you don't have to overcomplicate this. And also, I remember Sharon doing the same when we went into lockdown. That's how she sold most of her art during that time. It was, if you want the art, I'll send you a link, you pay me and I'll send me your address and I'll send it you. It's really simple. So let me just go back to the... Yeah, Sue says here, I went on Etsy for years, didn't sell anything, even with paid promotions. Sue's asking, does the course cover having newsletters? No, it doesn't. No, we don't cover that inside the course. It will teach you the content to write to people, though. So this is going to help you with creating your success plan, pulling out the copy to write in emails, thinking about who you're going to be attracting to your email list. So before you go towards having an email list, you've got to have this framework really laid out so you know who you're speaking to, then how you're going to attract people, what you're going to actually say to them, what you're going to offer them, what you're going to talk about. This is what is in here. So this is why we don't teach any of this stuff in this course, because you need this first before you build your website, before you create a social media platform. It's to go through this first. So after you've done this, then we can start to help point you in those next steps after the course on how you can get that help with creating an email list and things like that. But I would focus on just this. I wouldn't come into the course and start to try and figure out how to set up an email. Do this first. And then in your success plan at the end, you'll have the steps then, if that's your focus after the course is finished, to right, next, I want to start now gathering my people and pushing them towards my email list. And this is the sequence that I'm going to send them. And this is what it's going to be about. This is going to be the purpose. This is going to be how I'm going to sell to them. So that will be what you do after the course, if that makes sense. I have a few people that are older ladies, and sadly a lot are not on Instagram, so I really think I'd better get a website going. So yeah, I'm not tech savvy, but you can literally, I mean, the website builder that I used was called Verb, and I don't think they exist anymore. I literally set my website up in 1 hour. It took me an hour. It was literally the most basic site, and I dragged and dropped, and you don't have to spend a load of time on this. We've got some information somewhere on, I'm going to Google now, like drag and drop website builder. Drag and drop. Sorry, I can't type. Drop. If you could see, yeah, if you put that in now, drag and drop website builder, there are loads of articles telling you like the best ones to start with. That's exactly what I would do if I was starting out right now. I'd just use the simplest, quickest one. This is all about how do you make your life simple. My mentor Stu's always saying this to me, just what is the fastest, most simplest, easiest way to do this? Because quite often we think that it's got to be big and complicated, and it doesn't. But like Simone says, you can do it. And Diane, you can. You can. We're gonna help you along the way. Oh, I haven't heard of that one. I've heard recently you can build a very simple website using Canva, which you can use whilst you're working on building. I didn't know that. There you go. That's a good tip. So Sue says here, I have Instagram and I have 700 followers, but mostly creative people like me. There's not much engagement on my Instagram. So this is where I know you're signed up to the course. So we'll teach you now how to start using hashtags that will attract your people rather than other creative people. So this is going to help you. Absolutely. I got 2 offers recently to buy my art as NFT, but they seem like scams. Is this something that happens to others as well? I've never come across this one. But, you know, if you ever get approached by people who are offering to buy artwork in that way, or offering, you know, gallery space, or offering you, would you like to come and exhibit with us? The best thing to do is to go and find that company that has approached you. So if they've approached you on social media, go and find their name. If they've emailed you, find their name, and either look at the webs. If they've sent you an email, it will be, for example, michelle@unitedartspace.org. So you know unitedartspace.org is the website. And I did this recently. Someone approached me and I went and, you know, Googled them. Go and Google them. And then you can Google the name. So say we approached you, United Art Space review, United Art Space scam. And I always go and search their name with those 2 words at the end to see if, 1, if there's any reviews about them, and 2, to check if there's any articles about them being scammers. And you'll quickly find out whether they are legitimate or not. And then also the other thing that you can do is, if someone's approached you on social media, you can actually go obviously and check out their profile, and ask other people as well who've worked with them to see whether it's genuine. Yeah, my Instagram is linked to my Facebook. Seems a lot of people follow. And many came to my exhibit. That's good. How's it going, Simone? How is your exhibition going? Is it still live? Yeah, so someone says here, I love Instagram, but it's become harder lately. My engagement has really suffered, but I need to be clearer about my why. Yeah, so I don't know if you saw, I did a video on Instagram yesterday about the pineapple, and it's talking about that, the ways that we have to stand out. Social media is changing, the landscape is changing. And so more than ever right now on social media, we have to stand out with our why, and we have to stand out visually and through the power of connection. And I've been teaching this for years, but now there's I'm in mastermind groups with high level people who are earning millions, and they're all filtering down their lessons. And their lessons are right now relationships and having conversation and sharing our stories and our why is more important than ever. So it's true. And so this framework is more than ever really important, especially if you want to be on social media. Because like I was saying, when people are scrolling, they're looking People are scrolling and they're looking for either that's something that visually stands out. So they're looking for something, even if they don't realize it, subconsciously, this is what we're doing when we're scrolling. We're going, oh, that looks interesting. Our brain is looking for something different. It looks for differences all the time. And so there's that part of getting creative with the type of content that we're putting out. And then also there is the other part of people are scrolling, looking to be connected to something. That's what people are looking for. Like, oh God, that's interesting. Oh, that's nice. I get that. And so this is where standing out from the crowd is pulling out your why, pulling out your what, and that's how we stand out. It's that connection, and not just posting and hoping that people are going to comment on us. It's about actively using social media in a way that we can have those conversations with people. Really important to have conversations more than ever, relationships more than ever, personal relationships, because people are now, it's saturated, and people are buying from people that they trust and connect with. So, and this is still exciting. There's still potential with social media, but it's changing. And I keep saying this, and I said it in the first video. We've seen massive changes. And I said this 3 years ago. I said it's changing. We need to get on social media now. And I'm still saying it, and it is getting harder. And in 3 years' time, I don't think we're going to have the same accessibility to people like we do today. We're just not. You can see it already, how people are getting tired and overwhelmed and getting sick of social media. Things are changing and will fastly move in the next 3 years. So I think more than ever, we have to take advantage of the way it is right now. Yeah. So my little high horse. I love this, Annie. Oh, let's just bring the pineapple needs a bit of attention. It's getting really quite sticky now, though. It's oozing. It's really strange because I'm getting really attached to the pineapple. It's really weird. I feel really like maybe I need a rest. But I've grown an attachment to the pineapple, and also I was talking to the Post-it notes earlier. Actually, I think it was Susan Davis. If you're watching, I was talking to your Post-it note because you kept falling off, and I actually turned around and I went, "Okay, Susan, I get it. You don't want to be in that place. I'll move you." And I had a moment where I was like, "I'm talking to a Post-it note. I think I need to go and have a rest." Oh gosh. Yeah, it's funny. So yeah, I see a comment here. I don't know how to approach the galleries. Well, in the course, we're going to give you a template, and you have a template that's written from you. You just have to change the wording, going through what you learn in here, and you can send it off to the gallery. Oh, I love this. Yeah, I'm excited about doing the 7 keys because I know it's going to help me with eventually building my website. Yes, on the vision board. I love it. This is a good question. So Instagram first or develop my own website first? So it depends where you are in the 7 keys. And what I would say is, both are important in their own ways. But if I was the one getting started, personally, I would chuck, and this is just my view, and that other people might go, no, that's terrible advice. But I would get that one-page simple website done, especially if you haven't gone through the 7 keys, because you don't want to labor over a website without your 7 keys. Because when you go through the 7 keys, you'll have to change all the copy, you'll have to rewrite parts of it, you'll have to change possibly the thread of the work. So I would never build a website if I haven't got this. If I haven't got my success plan, and I'm not clear on my steps of the 7 keys, there's no way I'm going to waste time building a website. I would just put a one page together just with what I know about myself right now, that I'm an artist, these are my pieces, and this is where you can contact me, and that's it. And these are my social media buttons, and I'd keep it very simple. And then I'd spend more time on Instagram building relationships, using the 7 keys to carve out my place and talk about my work and build connections and grow that audience. And then once I know the 7 keys, then I'd expand on the website. That's the way I would do it. And that's the way we teach it through the 7 keys course. Let me see. I'm freaking out. Oh, I'm supposed to be registering as a company very soon, and I'm questioning everything now when I thought I was ready. I have different work like macrame, watercolors. Also, I am French. I live in France, but I lived 9 years in London and traveled in Australia. I don't know which language I should use on social media, English or French. Okay. Okay, so you're getting in a pickle. So I need to just breathe first of all. Leah, just want you to breathe with me. It's okay. It's going to be okay. So first of all, let's break this down. So registering as a company is fine. It's an exciting step. I want you to reframe that. It's exciting. You're going to be registering as a business so that you can take control of your life and make money your own way and design your own life. It's exciting. So I want you to get excited about that step, not fear it, knowing that millions and millions of people do this all the time. For centuries, people have been doing this. It's okay. You'll be okay. There are lots of people to support you in that step. If you change your mind and you don't want to be a business anymore, you can do that. Don't wait, put it into perspective. It's not that scary when you actually really, really break it down. Okay, so that's that one. If you've got lots and lots of different works, then go through the course, the Make Art Your Living, and just start to get focused on that why so that you've got that thread. But do you know what? Don't worry. If you're still all over the place and you haven't figured it out yet, just put it all out there and you'll figure it out. That's that one. In terms of the language, so what I would do is stick to the language of the people that you want to attract. So you've got to get clear on your who. Who do you want to attract to begin with? Because later down the line, you could write your captions in both languages. You could have something on your website that flips and translates the languages. But to begin with, get going and choose the language that you want to speak in and that you want to attract people towards. Simple. Knowing that in 2 months' time, you can change it. In 2 months' time, you can add English as a secondary language as well. So there you go. Hopefully that helps. It's just breaking everything down. Oh, I love this. This is from Laura Rainbow. So yeah, we have people from Croatia. Let me just see. We have Jelena. And everyone's got a little bit all over the place. Anna as well. Yeah. Is it Anna? Oh, there you go. Look, you need to get in touch with Laura. There you go. We have a Croatian group, and I went to meet them not that long ago. It was amazing. Yeah, there's lots of people from Australia, Robin. We've got Anne, Cheryl, Rosemary, Lisa, Kate, Jodie, Cheryl, April, Julia, Suresh, Karen, Kerry. Lots of people. So the website, at the beginning, are you talking about your own website? So your own website at the very beginning, I'll just make it information. Just make it just about you, explaining a bit about yourself, where people can find you and that kind of thing. Yeah, Reels, if you're on Instagram, we've literally just started to do Reels in the last 2 weeks. And one of my Reels had 55,000 views. And I know we've got a lot of followers, but They are really, really amazing, and they do take time. I don't think, like, if you can incorporate it into your art practice and literally just like video as you're doing something or in the moment now, I don't find that they take much time anymore, because I'm really loving it, because it's just capturing what I'm doing anyway, and I just quickly get the phone out, 60-second video. So yeah, the more you can just incorporate it into your life so it becomes a bit of a blog, the better. Yeah. Okay, we are out of time, so I will go through the chat and see if I've missed anything. Yes, Julie, we have people from Ireland. Hold on a second. David, Helen. I think that's it. Oh, we have 2 people from Ireland. I have put a picture up so you'll be able to see. I know it's difficult to see where people are from now because everyone's just all over the place. It's not really accurate. Right. Okay. That was the last webinar of the session. Oh, so I'll be back later at 6 p.m. We're going to have a little party to just celebrate the end of the workshops. We'll just have some fun. We'll talk about what your one major win has been throughout the workshops. So have a think of that before the session, if you're coming later. And that's it. We close enrollment to the 7 Keys course tomorrow. So you've got 24 hours, it closes. So if you'd like to join us, click the link above. I know that you'll absolutely love the experience. And I was speaking to someone today about the cost. And I said to them, I've done a lot of research into the costs of courses. You won't find a course at this cost with as much value, as much support, with as much success. We have so many success stories broken down. Honestly, you won't find a course at this cost with that amount of content and help and support. I've done the research. So yeah, I hope to see you on the board. If you're thinking of joining us, let me know if you've got any questions, and I'll see you all later. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.